Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another live video for you this evening. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it a lot. As I've said recently, I hope to be doing more of these live videos going forward, covering all areas and various topics. So I hope you'll enjoy it. And just because I'm crazy and a little bit out there, I decided to call this episode number 1. So consider yourself lucky or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it. So I have set up tonight's screen. I'll bring that up here in a second for you. And we'll be watching some video. Let me get this over here. There we go. And just so you can see, the screen's a little bit different. I've been playing around with it a little bit. I'm sure I'll screw it up at some point, so don't worry about that. Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day, so I'd expect to get it right sometime. And to add a little fun, if I get a new subscriber, you'll actually see, usually they say an angel gets its wings, but we'll actually see Buzz Aldrin take a chair shot, which is always fun. And also, if is anyone's kind enough to donate, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. But if anybody did, you get to see Neil deGrasse dance. And not just any dance, you'll actually get to see it Neil deGrasse style, so that should be fun. And really, the alerts are there for me, so bear with me. Any technical difficulties, this way I can read the chat. I do have the chat set up as well. I'll show you that. And let's get that up, and here we go. So you'll see the chat is also on the screen at various times. I can do that and check that out. So if you want to ask me questions, hopefully I'll be able to see them there. And that's about it. So if you are ready for tonight's show, let's start out with a short little trailer here. This is a movie that I'm not sure if it's out yet or not. It's supposed to be coming out, but I think it comes out in 2017, so I'm not sure if you've seen it. Maybe you have. I haven't seen it, but here's the trailer for it.
You and I both know the truth. The moon is not going to be here for long. Soon enough, we are all going to die. I hear this time of year is very nice at the center of the earth. I know about your little trip. I want in. I need your help.
So I'm not positive if you've already seen that trailer. That is, of course, Tom Green. If you are my age, mid-30s, you definitely remember he had a popular TV show on MTV. Started in around 1994, which is, believe it or not, 23 years ago. He had been around, since then. He's been doing things. He married Drew Barrymore for about 3 months. He was in Road Trip, Charlie's Angels, Freddie Got Fingered, I forgot, Stealing Harvard, and a few other ones. But he's also had a talk show for at least the past, let me see here, getting a text, what's going on now? Can't hear anything, it's too low. Okay, well, that's great. Can't hear anything, it's too low. Oh, that's why this isn't up. Tell me if that's better, Dave. I didn't see that was all the way down. So, hey, I guess I could just start all over. Why not, huh? No, I'll show you the trailer one more time, but whatever I said at the beginning, you'll just have to miss. Let me see. Can you hear me now? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Still very low? I am on the moon. Nobody can hear me. Interesting. All right, I'll fix it. Yep, I see the chat. I'm turning up the volume 1 second here. I don't know why it's not picking it up. 1 second. Should pick it up. It's got that on. It's good. I don't know why it's not picking up. Let me see. What could possibly be the volume issue here? Let's see this one here. All right, how about now? Anybody? Going once, going twice. Can you hear me? Let me check the chat. All right, sounds good. Thank you. Now you can hear me? Is it too loud now? Now I can hear myself and it's driving me crazy. Okay, so we're going to watch the trailer one more time. And then we basically are just going to be... okay, thank you. We're going to watch the trailer one more time. And then after that, we're going to be watching Tom Green. He does a couple interviews, which are really, really interesting. He does an interview with Buzz Aldrin. And also an interview with the... maybe you remember the guy with the mohawk that was part of the JPL team that did the Mars landing with the Curiosity rover. And I've actually tried to contact Tom Green because if you guys watch with me, you'll see what I see. He absolutely, in no way, believes anything that he's being told. And that's what makes this so fun, so we're going to watch it together. But let's start off again with that opening round there of that little trailer.
You and I both know the truth. The moon is not going to be here for long. Soon enough, we are all going to die. I hear this time of year is very nice at the center of the earth. I know about your little trip. I want in. I need your help.
So just very interesting. Not sure if anybody's seen that movie. I think it's supposed to come out in 2017, but you've probably seen Iron Sky. Just another kick off that one. But let's go ahead and start. Here's Tom Green on his show talking to some guy for some reason who thinks that he owns the moon. Pretty funny.
Explain to the people how it is, first of all, that you claim to own the moon. You say you own the moon. You own the moon. Yes. But also kind of a neat idea is that you are now selling plots of land on the moon on the internet.
We have over 2 million customers in 180 countries, including 2 former presidents of the United States.
You don't really own the moon.
Yes, I do.
You don't really own it. No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You don't
Yes, I
own
do.
it. You
Yes,
don't.
I do.
No, you don't. You don't own it. You don't own the moon. You don't. You don't.
That's one opinion.
You don't. But hey, Britney Spears actually French kissed.
Pretty funny. Now let's watch his interview with Buzz Aldrin. Now remember, this is like the way that I would interview Buzz Aldrin. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys will feel differently. I don't think there's any way that this guy believes a word coming out of his mouth. But let's watch together.
Hi, thank you for watching today.
Sorry.
We did something.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have some clips today, some footage that we actually got from NASA that I thought we could look at together and talk about that historic day. But
no bleeps. No bleeps.
you can swear here if you'd like.
You swear to the moon? That's right. I did something else on the moon.
What did you,
Really? Is it still there?
You know, Neil had his first step.
Mm-hmm.
You had your...
What did you do on the moon that was, what was it?
Peed in my pants.
You peed your pants.
Yeah.
Was it,
Intentionally?
Well, of course, we had
you all that going in the suit?
contingencies like that, but we had to make sure that we had an empty bag
yeah. So
before going outside.
I never thought of that when I was a kid, watching that they were defecating up there.
So
Yeah,
suits.
we thought of almost everything.
Was that a conscious decision, though, to wait till you got off the Eagle to pee, or so you could actually say you were the first man to pee on the moon?
Look, I think ahead, I plan ahead, but these days I can never tell when that little urge is going to come.
And by the way, if you didn't notice, that's Dana Carvey that's sitting in. I don't know if he was a co-guest or a co-host or what he was doing, but pretty funny guy in his own right. Let's continue.
It depends.
Hey, look, we've got some more important things to talk about.
We do.
In all
Let's
seriousness.
talk about nuclear
In all
engineering.
seriousness, Luke, we just played a clip of John F. Kennedy talking. We just before break talking about the goal of getting America to the moon. And when that speech happened, what were you doing when you saw that Kennedy give that speech?
Well, there are two different speeches. One of them was May 25th, 1961, before Congress. That quote was a year and a half later, really, at Rice University. We choose to do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. So it was a follow-through, and that was in the fall of '62. Mm-hmm. I was still at MIT wondering what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a question? At the time, this is what I heard, that the engineers and the scientists, people like yourself, at that point were able to say to John F. Kennedy, we know how to do this. We think we can do this. Or was there a lot of...
Notice also, if you will, look at Buzz Aldrin's shirt. Just one of those things that you notice. Nice little pyramid, and I don't know, who dresses like that to go on a TV show? Not I.
A lot of leaps that were made throughout the 60s that made it possible. Do they have a general sense of how they were going to make it happen? We'll go to a break. We'll be right back with Buzz Aldrin. No, I'm kidding. But did you know in 61 or 2, did you have a sense in the scientific community that it was possible? Or when he said that?
61, 62?
Yeah, and you saw that speech, and you think, that's possible, I'm going to be on that ship, and I'm going to go to the moon.
In '59, I was in Germany as a fighter pilot on alert with nuclear weapons. So Sputnik went by, beep, beep. I didn't think of anything about it. I mean, that was not my world. But I read Life magazine, and it said, this is this Mercury program, and this is the kind of spacecraft one guy's going to fly in, and then eventually we're going to do some other, develop other things. And it said that, well, a lot of people had advised NASA, let's send a philosopher to the moon, or a poet, or a journalist, or a comedian. Okay? Yeah. Eisenhower said, no, I want 6 cents. We're going to send test pilots.
Right.
That was bad news, because I had not chosen to become a stick and rudder guy the rest of.
Now, if you're wondering, what is this video about? What am I letting him ramble on for? It's an interesting video because hey, thank you, another subscriber. As the interview goes on, you will notice that definitely Tom Green, you can't really say for Dana Carvey, they just get more and more skeptical of this guy to the point where Buzz Aldrin's going to have to give him a dirty look pretty soon because he's questioning too much.
My Air Force career. So I didn't go to test pilot training. I was eligible.
Mm-hmm. So at what point did you realize that you were maybe going to be on that ship and be one of the first men on the moon?
You're never sure what people are going to decide and why. The way it turned out, I became an expert in rendezvous. I was called Dr. Rendezvous.
Don't forget that one. Thank you, another subscriber. Dr. Rendezvous.
From my MIT stuff. And that was one of the main things in the Gemini program. So I looked at the schedule coming out, and I wasn't going to even fly in that program until my backdoor neighbor was killed in an airplane accident in St. Louis, and they shuffled things around. So Jim Lovell and I were backups on Gemini 9, and then we're going to fly on 12, because there was already a crew for 10 and 11.
Let's have a look at a clip of you guys. We have a clip of some footage of you landing on the moon. Here's the takeoff, of course.
Now, notice something. Watch Buzz Aldrin here, and him watching himself.
At this point,
are you holding in your urine at that point?
Are you scared? Are you scared at that point? Is it?
So one thing is, he won't really look at the footage. The second thing is, listen to him describe the feeling of the takeoff.
Is there sort of fear?
The ice coming off the...
Yeah.
We commented afterward that the liftoff was so gentle we couldn't even feel. We just had a sensation that we're no longer attached to the ground.
Right.
Now, whether there is a little swaying or not with the guidance, maybe. But you look at the TV, and those engine nozzles didn't move a bit. It went straight up, smooth, good. The instrument said we lift it off. The radio transmission said we lift it off. So we said we lift it off.
Were you thinking, okay, this has never been done. You're essentially embarking on the biggest technological feat in human history.
Yeah.
Probably surpassing Christopher Columbus as the greatest explorers in history.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking about this and thinking, geez, this might... No?
Mm-hmm. No, we're thinking that a lot of times you go out there, you get in the spacecraft, and oops, we're not going to make it today, so you got to go back and do it again. So we're quite anxious for everything to succeed as we're going through the countdown.
Yeah. Here's the
and we're thinking more about, gee, don't stop. Let's keep going. Let's make sure we lift off. And then we didn't even sense the lift off.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of astronauts, you ask them, they will say that when the staging occurred, that is when one engine shuts down and they get ready to light the next one, that they feel that there was not positive G-force, but there was negative because they were thrown forward. Now, if you think a little bit, when you're under G-forces, your arms are going to be pushing back.
Right.
And when it cuts off, guess what? You're going to push yourself forward.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah.
Not everybody went to West Point. Not everybody went to MIT.
Yeah, I certainly didn't.
But this is just plain old logic.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about this when we come back after the break. We'll be taking your calls from people around the world on Skype. And stay tuned. We'll be back.
But they never did.
They actually do. I don't know what the person who made that video said. They do take calls here at the end. But we'll continue here.
And we're back with Buzz Aldrin and Dana Carvey. I'm holding a copy of the Santa Barbara News here from, this is the day that you landed on the moon. And there's an article in here I found interesting. It says that on the same day you guys landed on the moon, the Russians crash-landed a Luna 15 on the moon.
15, yeah.
And that's not really something that many people really hear about.
Well, there are a lot of things that people haven't heard about. It's not too long, but it has to do with the lunar spacecraft when they call off the assembly line.
Yeah.
The first one to make a landing was going to be number 6. Okay. And that was going to take place in mid-October '69. But the guy in charge of number 5 said, I think I can trim the weight down a little bit. And he asked the boss of Apollo, if I do that, will you make it land? Yeah. This was late '67, early '68. And had it gone originally, the first landing would not have been Apollo 11. It would have been Apollo 12 on lunar module number 6.
So here you guys are, you just, by circumstance, whatever pieces fell into place, you are now the first men on the moon. You're sitting there, you've just landed. You have to, what do you have to do after you land on the moon, before you get out and start
Get
walking
ready to
around?
leave.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
When you touch down, Mike Collins in Columbia is going overhead.
Couple things to remember here. That imagine you and your friend, you and your brother, you and your sister, whatever, go to the moon, and you land on the moon, and you get out. What's the first thing that you would point out? What's the first thing you would see? What's the first thing you would say? You would say, look at the freaking Earth. Look at the Earth right there. How awesome is the Earth over there? Never once did the word Earth get said between Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong when they were on the moon. There's 2 images taken of the Earth, but they never mentioned it to each other, never pointed it out, never thought it was amazing, never anything. Well, the reason why? Because they were on the Earth.
If you got a leak immediately.
So I think that, I actually think Tom Green knows this, and you'll see, the reason I'm showing this whole thing is because I want you to watch the progression of skepticism and jokes and kind of just letting it be known that he does not believe this guy.
You should launch, hit the abort button.
So you sit down, you realize you're on the moon.
Yeah, there are 2-3 times. After that time, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes has elapsed. It's too late because he's too far around. You got to wait 2 hours.
So there's a 2-minute window. Once that ends, you decide we're staying. So now you've decided you're staying.
But we didn't decide. The rocket decided.
The rocket decides you're staying, and now you're ready to open that hatch.
No.
What do you do next? What do you do
Put a
next?
spacesuit on.
Well, we got ready. We got ready to lift off in 2 hours.
So you prepared all that.
You rehearse all the things that you would do. That's the best thing you can do in the first couple of hours.
So how long are you sitting there in the Eagle before you actually got out?
We changed the flight plan. Initially, the flight plan was we were going to rest. We were going to sleep after landing. That's because if we were tired, if we had to go around another time, we could very well be tired, and we would want to rest first. So that's where we put the flight plan out. So any change would be a positive change, and it would say, Houston, Tranquility Base, we'd like to advance the flight plan and skip the sleep period and prepare to go outside.
Yeah.
And that was why the movie, The Dish, they were caught off guard because they didn't know we were going to be going out that fast. The Australian movie.
Yeah. So now you decide to get out. You go out.
You're on the ladder.
You're walking down the ladder. We have a picture. We have a video of you actually walking down. We have footage.
You don't walk down. You back down the ladder. Navy style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hypothetical.
Yeah.
I have a hypothetical. If Neil backing down the ladder, if he put his hand on the lunar surface or his foot, and just his whole body just sank below the surface, what would you have done? He disappears in the sand.
We have said that chemistry illustrative professor who predicted that when we landed, we're going to sink 50 feet.
Oh, really? Oh,
well, we didn't.
You didn't, so you knew that no way Neil was going to go.
Surveyors, spacecraft. It was tough. It was
What
hard.
if tentacles had come up around Neil and pulled him down? What would you have done? Immediate abort.
But I want to
say because there's another situation where we could have made history.
Okay, what's that?
Well, we can't. We got to ask you.
What?
All right.
What is?
We go outside.
Yeah.
And you go outside, you eventually run out of oxygen, so you got to come in.
Yeah.
So we came back in, and then we're going to sleep. Okay. So I said to Neil, I got dibs on the floor.
Yeah. But don't just skip over. Don't just skip over the whole walking outside on the moon part.
We'll get back to that.
We have a picture of you on the moon. We have a photo of you. One of the most iconic photographs in history of you taking a photo of the boot print, your boot print on the moon. Probably one of the most iconic and seen photos in history that you took right there. You shot that photo.
That were in the moment. I was really impressed with this funny-looking dust down there.
Yeah.
We didn't know really what it was. We had no idea that it was going to make such a prominent boot print.
Yeah.
So, here are all these boot prints. So I decided to get a little before and after. So I looked at a little spot out there, took a picture of it, then stuck my foot out and put it down. And then I looked at it, and it was pretty lonesome looking. So I decided, well, let me put my foot down and then move it just a little bit. So now you can see a little bit of the boot print and the boot.
Yeah.
Innovation. That's my middle name.
I want to get back to the dibs part where you took the nap.
Okay, well,
that's
take
fascinating.
a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back to that.
Okay, so this going into the third part here is where I'm going to pause it a couple times and show you Buzz's face because it is classic. I'm actually going to try and speed it up a little too.
Dana Carvey, and let's take a call using this technology called Skype here.
ISIS is tweeting in. ISIS.
Oh. Hello, Scotty. Are you there? Can we see you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, we can't see you.
Well, you pull a lot of
Sorry.
We can't see you.
ISIS.
Scotty in Tennessee, you are on the air. Scotty, do we... Oh.
Hello.
Hello, Scotty. Are you there? Can
Scotty.
we see you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we can't see you. Can we see him? Can we see him?
Give me a little power,
Oh,
Captain.
we can't hear. We lost him.
We lost Scotty.
Houston, we have a problem.
That was
Apollo 13. Yeah.
yeah, but we just about had a couple of situations where we could have been the ones.
Yeah.
Like Apollo
we
13.
had a problem.
Yeah. What was
I'll get to that.
the main problem? Was the main problem?
So not only is it not enough that he's the second man to land on the moon, he has to make in this interview the point that they could have been the ones that said, Houston, we've got a problem, because they had a problem. And he also points out that he was actually the first person to speak on the moon. So yeah, this guy really humble.
Was it the ignition circuit breaking off? And let me understand this correctly. You were getting ready to take off.
No.
You're getting ready to go to sleep.
That's right.
You looked down on the ground. You had 2 hours to
I
sleep.
took dibs on the floor.
Yeah.
So I
Yes,
laid
I
down,
love that.
put
And Neil was pissed.
my head on my side,
Yeah.
which is the right side. The
Yeah.
commander's always on the left side. So I laid down, and there's a certain amount of dust that we tracked in, and along the dust was something that shouldn't have been there. It sure looked like it was a broken circuit breaker. Well, you pull a lot of circuit breakers out. For example, the parachute jettison circuit breaker. You don't want to jettison the parachute
You don't want to land on the moon.
do you?
Yeah,
So you
parachute
pull
on
the
the
circuit
moon.
breaker out.
Yeah, that's Batman stuff.
You get ready to land and you push in the circuit breaker. So I looked to see which one was broken. Engine arm.
Right.
Yeah.
So the ability to leave the
Houston, we
moon.
got a problem.
Right. So you had to find a way. You realized now you were not able to take off.
Yeah.
You were essentially stranded on the moon, and you had to find a way to jerry rig.
You're giving me a lot of credit.
Yeah.
That's not due. We were getting ready to go to sleep.
And even though you thought you
cold.
might not get off, but you had to.
So we told Mission Control, you got it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Right.
We're going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what my wife says to me when we have some electrical issues.
So afterward they told me they learned more about all those circuits during those 6 hours when we were catching our.
And were you
But
really?
We woke up and they said, I'll tell you what, we haven't found an alternate way, so we're going to have to push that circuit breaker in, a broken one, not 5 minutes or whatever it was.
And if you've ever listened to Buzz Aldrin before, he's got basically 3 stories. He tells the same stories every time.
Use my little finger.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't use a metal pen. Might short out something. So we had a felt tip pen, so I pushed it in. And then Houston said, we completed the circuit. We're ready to go.
Wow. So literally,
a felt pin saved your life.
if you had made the wrong decision there.
It was my decision.
Well, to use
We
the
had
felt
push it in.
tip pen, right? If you'd you'd stuck your finger in, and the whole thing could have caught fire.
You know, the Dutchman stuck his finger in the dike?
Yes.
I felt like that.
Whoops, this is not a cable access show. We'll go to that. We'll talk about it. I don't know. Anyway, never mind. Anyway, so Neil, the tentacles are coming around, and he's being pulled into the. Oh, sorry. I just fixate on. I like science fiction. I know
You like Orson Welles?
Love him. Love him.
Were you?
I was 8
Ray
years old.
Bradbury?
I was 8 years old when the Martians landed in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
That's where I
Really?
from,
You heard that?
really.
You heard that
And
live?
I went to elementary school.
Wow.
So when you're on the moon, how often do you say to yourself when you're on the moon, "We're on the moon"? We're on the friggin' moon right now. Does that just keep going
Or do you ever
around?
go,
Like,
damn, I wish we were on Venus.
We're on the moon
Who am I
here.
going to say that to?
Just to yourself, like that.
Neil?
No, just to yourself in your head. You're like,
Neil
whatever,
knows where the hell we are.
You're taking the pictures, and you're is the entire time you're in the background. You're just saying, "What are we? We're on the moon right now."
Did you say that to Neil, and you heard him in his face kind of going, boring? And you're like, Neil, we're on the moon, man. Give me a hug, dude. Easy, man. Easy space.
No, when
Yes.
now we're
fascinated with your approach.
descending and
You're out of
below-
fuel, practically.
No, almost.
Yeah.
This is pretty classic here. Watch. This is where Tom Green starts calling him out and he gets
On
pissed.
each of the landing gear pads is a 6-foot probe, and that's going to hit the ground first.
Okay.
And it's going to bend, and it's going to throw a switch, and it's going to turn the light on. Cool. It's in front of me. And that was the first word spoken from the moon. Contact light. engine stop, and a few other little things.
Okay,
So now I reach over and I pat Neil on the shoulder, and we're there.
Right, you had a moment.
He remembers the shaking hands, but I remember patting him on the shoulder for a good job.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what we did, but no, there wasn't any camera on us.
Were you emotional? Did you have tears in your eyes a little bit? I'd be emotional because of the effort that it took to get there.
Yeah, but in 1 minute and
right, you guys
5 seconds, if there's a leak somewhere,
you didn't have time to be philosophical. Is what you're saying.
When you look at the Earth for the first time from the moon, what was that? Was that like almost like a religious experience for you?
Well, now, what do you think we'd been looking at for 3.5 days?
Right.
As we drifted out.
Again, but it's boring.
We look at the moon, then we turn around, we look at the Earth.
So when you're in that, and you're flying.
So who hasn't looked at the moon and the Earth? I mean, come on.
Wouldn't the Earth have been behind you though? Was there a window in the back, or how did you look back?
Look at this look in his face. He just asks him, well, how did you look back? Is there a window behind you? Or how do you look forward at the moon and back? And this is where Neil's getting, I mean, Buzz is pissed.
Looking at the side, or seriously?
You see that breath? Just watch that again because that's pretty funny.
Behind you though, was there a window in the back, or how did you look back? You still looking at the side, or seriously?
Was there
a rear view mirror?
Let me get a little technical. Okay. There's an ecliptic plane, which is the orbit of the Earth around the sun. That's a plane.
Yeah.
And there's an Earth-Moon plane, which is pretty close. So if we redo the charts, instead of for every mission there'll be a star chart sometime.
Okay, listen to this again and see if anybody can possibly understand what he's saying here. He's pissed and just can't even get his words out. Watch this.
And there's an Earth-Moon plane, which is pretty close. So if we redo the charts, instead of for every mission there'll be a star chart sometime. If we redo the charts as I asked them to do, where the straight line is not the equator, as most charts are, but it is the plane that we're traveling in, which is pretty close to the ecliptic. So let's recompute the position of all the stars and put them on this star chart that's black, not white. So black is suppressing information. A white star is illuminating information.
Yeah, I'm getting very confused
now. What was your computer?
That's why your car instruments are black with white numbers on them. Okay. It didn't used to be that way.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. We want to talk about Mars too. We need to talk about Mars and what's going to happen in the future of the U.S. space program. We'll be back with Buzz Aldrin. Stick around. Dana Carvey is here.
There's no way this guy believes it. Here's the final piece.
Oh, nice. Look at that. This has been so much fun tonight. I can't believe how fast the hour has gone by.
He's got so much information.
I have literally a million more questions I want to ask you about the moon, but you have this great new book called Mission to Mars, and this is something you are very passionate about. Why have we not gone back to the moon, and why do you think that we should go to Mars and not back to the moon?
We got to the moon 6 out of 7 times. We have felt fortunate to do it just once in 20 missions, so we saved money and canceled the last couple of missions. And other things were going on. There was a conflict that I'd have been involved in for NASA in Vietnam. I'd have been a firefighter there.
So that was the space program took a back seat.
There were a number of other things that took precedence. I believe there was something like a civil rights.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So do you believe it's possible that humans can colonize Mars?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
And
it is a much better place than the moon. It's got 24 and a half hours in the sunlight. It's got 689 days a year instead of 365.
What will we do up there? What will be the purpose of that?
The purpose is to establish an occupancy on another planet in the solar system.
And you believe
is that a big deal?
Yeah.
You bet it's a big deal. And the person who makes a commitment for humans, thousands of years on this little third rock from the sun, and now we're going to begin to occupy another place permanently.
You believe it? You believe it will be America that should do that?
It should be done internationally. I don't think it's possible for a private enterprise to put everything together to do that. And I just don't think it's proper. I think it's a unity of the governments, a unity of the groups of individuals here on the planet Earth that should first cooperate at the moon.
You believe the first mission to Mars, the astronauts that are sent there should not come back? They should stay there?
Absolutely, but I get a lot of discussion about that. But it's clear that coming back is the most difficult, especially for the first people that land. You've got to have fuel, you've got to have an ascent vehicle. We've never done this before. It is expensive to bring people back. It's going to take more time. Somebody might beat you there, but more important than that, all the advantages, disadvantages. I got one question. We land 6 people, and we bring them back.
Yeah.
All right. How much have we spent? How many billions of dollars have we, the world, invested in 6 people going to Mars? And now we bring them back. What are we going to do with them when we bring them back? That in any way...
So they'll colonize. We have a clip of what it would look like, I believe, up there. If we can look at that.
If William Shatner and Patrick Stewart volunteered, they would stay there.
Here's a clip of some...
Or you go. Would you go?
I'm not a long distance guy.
You're just a sprint to the moon. Yeah, it's like a million miles.
Would you go? That's a good question.
Would you go to Mars? They designed so it would be cool for you to go.
I don't think so.
So
because I happen to believe that I'm not an outdoors person. I'm long duration. I'm somebody that is valuable for my thinking here rather than there.
If anybody thinks that Buzz Aldrin went to the moon, you are absolutely fooling yourself. The guy didn't go anywhere at all. And I don't know if you guys heard the Bill Maher comments recently, but I'm going to play that because I think it's hilarious. Let me see here. We'll put this on. Tell me if you've heard this, or I think it's hilarious. And I never agree with Bill Maher. Well, I can't say that. I do agree with him sometimes. Usually I don't. But in this particular case, I pretty much agree with almost everything he says.
New rule, fuck Mars. Stop fantasizing that Mars is Earth's backup planet. There's this constant drumbeat to get to Mars. Explore...
That's actually better to hear him actually do it. I thought that was the right file. That's obviously not the right one. But I'll bring it up here. I don't know if you've heard it, but he does a new rules thing. Here it is, basically. And I'm going to have to... let's see here. I'll play it kind of... Maybe we'll just listen to it and watch the chat.
Tomorrow, in honor of Earth Day, everyone has to shut up about Mars. Shut up about Mars and how cool it would be to live there and start over someplace new. Like we're the Chinese moving to Vancouver. This is a dangerous idea that our culture is already too taken with, that we can keep on trashing Earth because we got Mars. This fun new happening spot. Come on, Bill, don't be a stick in the solar system. Red is the new green. It's the party planet right next door. Mars, more like Mars-a-Lago. It's practically Eden if you don't mind growing dinner in Matt Damon's poop. Well, I do mind. We need to quash this stupid fantasy that Mars is a perfectly reasonable planetary backup. Movies, TV shows, magazines, and this constant drumbeat to get to Mars, explore Mars, colonize Mars. To paraphrase Jan Brady, Martians, Martians, Martians. Budweiser announced they're investigating how to brew quality beer on Mars. Something they can't even do here. Billionaires talk about Mars like it's Margaritaville. Amazon's Jeff Bezos wants to go, and so does Tesla's Elon Musk, who wants us to have 1 million people living there in 50 years, and says we gotta be a multi-planet species. Richard Branson says, I'm determined to be a part of starting a population on Mars. Richard, here's a picture of you on Earth. Here's you trying this on Mars. Even Donald Trump, who isn't a real billionaire but plays one on TV, favors Mars over Earth. His budget slashes the EPA, but last month he signed a bill calling for a manned mission to Mars by 2033, which NASA estimates would cost $450 billion.
Billion.
Here's a crazy idea. If we're going to take up the challenge to overhaul a planet, let's do this one.
Yeah, you got to give him credit. He's got a point. So the next little scene, once I saw that Tom Green clearly has doubts about the moon landing, and I said, well, has he talked to anybody else space related? So I was looking up, his interviews with NASA or anybody. Well, he has an interview with this guy, and let me get his name right before I butcher it, which I will do. Oops, that's not the right place. Let me get his name here. So his name is Bobak Ferdowski. Okay, Bobak Ferdowski. So he's the one, if you remember, he has like a mohawk, and he's not the guy that looked like Elvis that did the whole Mars landing thing. He's the other guy that became famous for some stupid reason. And he's on the show, and let's just listen to this guy lie through his teeth. And Tom keeps trying to go to clips of Mars, and yet they're all CGI, and he's pointing that out. So definitely interesting. Let me bring this one up, and we'll get started here.
And we're back. Joining us from Jet Propulsion Laboratories, Bobak Ferdowsi is joining us. Thank you for coming to talk to us today. We have lots of pictures from the surface of Mars.
Right. Some not from the surface, but many of them from the surface.
Pictures. We have some reenactments of the Curiosity landing
with like actors who are portraying us. I've
always wanted to open a reenacting talent agency.
Yeah, amazing.
Like when someone's stabbing them wives on like Dateline ID. Yeah, I want to hire those guys. Yeah, be like just a talent agent for reenactors. This is your second one.
No, it's
when the Curiosity landed, you were basically featured heavily, right? Because of the mohawk.
I don't think it was intentional. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think people kind of were surprised by seeing somebody with a mohawk in a NASA control room. It's just not what you expect. I think most people have the idea of maybe look at the Apollo era or even the shuttle in the 80s. And then, JPL is a very sort of avant-garde kind of place to work. So it's cool. But yes, I mean, I think that's the reason.
Now, was that surprising to you, all the attention when Obama said that, you're making science cool and he was thinking of getting a mohawk haircut?
Huge. I mean, you go to work at NASA because you love what you do. The people you work with are great. The stuff is just challenging, and you like to feel like maybe you're contributing to history in some way or another. But yeah, to get the attention after landing, and then to have a presidential shout out and a picture of the president with your haircut, it's pretty crazy. It's awesome as long as it's getting people excited about space again. I'm in.
How do you become a rocket scientist?
Well, for me, it kind of started with a love of just understanding how the world works. Just kind of like I like physics, and then it was just being inspired. I think the thing that really inspired me the most was actually in 1997. The Jet Propulsion Lab landed a very small, microwave kind of size car on Mars. And July 4th, of course, because we like to pick these great, American days to do things on. And I saw that, and it was just, it was great because, often you look at the missions that go to another place, and there's no context. It's a beautiful landscape, or it's a shot from above. You don't see the human element, the spacecraft that they actually built. But then you could see this little rover on Mars, and I was like, this is something that humans work on. This is a real job. And that's kind of what I was hooked.
We have a video, a recreation of the landing of Curiosity. I was thinking maybe we could watch that together. Okay. And you could kind of explain what we're looking at.
Right.
This is incredible.
Yeah, so this is where we enter the atmosphere of Mars. So one of the amazing things is Mars is 14 minutes away at the speed of light from us. So we're getting this signal 14 minutes after it actually happened.
Okay.
So we're entering around 13,000 miles an hour. We slow down enough to use a supersonic parachute, which is the largest faster than sound parachute ever built.
How big is that parachute?
I want to say it's about 50 feet across.
Wow. This is the amazing
part. And then we drop off that onto the rockets.
Yeah. The rockets go.
So at this point, we're looking for the ground with the radar system that we have. So it's trying to find the ground.
JPL?
No, the radar system's built in. It's actually it's on the front of the descent stage there. So it's looking for the ground, looking for vertical distance and velocity and horizontal velocity. So we kind of straighten out.
Yeah, this next part here, watch this, with the strings. This is the part. Are they strings? What is this?
It's basically a rope.
Yeah.
It's a nylon rope.
Right here, watch this, Jim.
So this is zooming in our camera.
Yeah. That's actual footage, correct?
This is not actual footage. There is actual footage from that camera. This is still a simulation. So about I think 100 meters above the ground, we start doing this phase.
Wow. This is like a U2 Zoo TV tour.
It's basically a Rube Goldberg
Zoo Station! All right.
So it lowers it on these ropes
until it softly touches down. And once we detect this touchdown, the top part is cut away and flies off to crash. And safely elsewhere on Mars. Away from the rover is the key.
It will crash on Mars?
Oh, it did crash. No, it absolutely, we have pictures afterwards from the orbital images of where it crashed, and you can see this big splat on the ground.
So how is it that somebody comes up with that, how did they come up with that? I mean, there must have been other possible ways.
Well, we've done airbags before. We've done the rockets on the bottom thing with the pallet landers. We still do rockets on the bottom with a lot of the pallet landers. This was really a group of people sat in a room. They had a brainstorming day. They looked at different. They looked again at the old ideas. They added some. This was kind of a very elegant solution because it's sort of mathematically like a pendulum, which is one of the first physics equations that you learn. And so it's a relatively easy problem, and it lends itself very well for simulation. And so in fact, all that what you saw, we were never able to recreate that on Earth. So we have to simulate it. So there's bits and pieces that are tested here and there, but ultimately the first time it ever came together was on Mars.
So you go through all those steps. It's being broadcast live around the world. You guys are on camera. It was a very exciting, outrageously exciting moment for you guys, right? Because there's probably a lot of steps along the way that you're thinking might not work, right?
For me at the day of landing, we were just shy of 9 years working on this project for me. And I'm not alone in that. There are a lot of people on this project who have worked for 5 or 10 years. But absolutely, there's not only is there the traverse from, getting off the ground, as we saw the other day, launching is still not an easy, trivial thing to do. There's getting to Mars, the accuracy that we need. Then there's the, 500,000 lines of code, and, I think there's 76 pyrotechnic devices that all have to fire for that to happen. So that the odds are kind of, you've tested everything you can, but they're still not really favorable odds.
Yeah. So now the ship, the rover, is on the ground.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, and then
first we cried a lot. And there was a lot of hugging, things like that, a lot of celebrating. And then we got to business.
So you just start driving it around right away, or?
There's basically a week of checkouts. We wanted to make sure everything survived the landing. We actually had to install new software. People think, this must be an advanced technology.
Is that real footage?
This is a real picture.
That's in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
This is.
You faked the Mars landing, bro.
There we go. It looks like Bakersfield, bro. You faked the Mars landing.
Can we look at that full screen?
If you look at the shadow on the American flag, you can totally fake the moon landing too.
Well, if you were really you would accuse me of how did we take a picture of ourselves on Mars?
I would guess robotic arm.
That's right. So we have a 2-meter-long arm.
A third grader could have done that. Conspiracy theorists are nuts. This to be celebrated, not to be like, whoa, wait a minute, what the shadow's weird.
It's an impressive mission. But at the same time, we have less computing power than an iPhone nowadays. So we have to actually change software into a surface version of software to operate the rover.
So before you can start,
I think it's time for a little version of. And now, intellectual, scientific thoughts by jeranism. Hi, I'm a scientist. And everything I do is factual. So factual, in fact, that we have computer animations of everything we do. We know that everything we do is 100% legit because we get return tones. We also get a rise in the residual Doppler radar. So you have my word, you've got audio tones, and you have CGI graphics. And yet you people actually question the legitimacy of NASA. I'll never understand it. We get tones. Tones. All right, back to the video there. If I can find it.
Driving around.
Before we do anything,
we gotta do some software
installation on a rover on a different planet.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, well, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be.
It's just one more segment on this one.
We're back with Bobak Ferdozi talking about the Mars Curiosity. Jay Moore is here with us, and we're this is exciting to me because when I'm into this. Like I look at all the videos on YouTube and stuff, but here we got the footage from you guys. You sent the footage to us.
That's right.
So now we can look at it in HD on the big screen.
But that's not it. That's you.
No, that's me. Yeah, that's not the surface of Mars. Yeah, that's me. But then we have a video. Let's have a look at the video here, and let's maybe just talk through what we are seeing.
Sure.
Okay, this is
This is really Mars?
This is really Mars. This is a panorama that we took. Wow. We have a couple of color imagers on Mars. And then this is sort of the rover driving. It's assembled over mini sols on Mars, which are Martian days. So this is what you would see if you were looking, kind of like a camera sitting on the front, facing down a little. Yeah. And this is us doing one of our first drill sites. And this is, I think, Winjana, which was one of the recent places where we drilled. And you can see the drill sticking out there, and there it goes into the ground.
So what are you drilling for?
Anson Williams.
Okay.
Trying to find him. What's he been up to? Yeah, what are you?
Are you drilling? You're looking for
what we're drilling for?
Organisms, bacteria.
So Curiosity, kind of, we're sort of following a procedure here.
What? That's that arrow pointing to something. I
don't know what it was.
Great import.
So we went with in the previous missions looking for water, and we found evidence that water at one point had kind of been in abundance on Mars. That there was stuff formed in the presence of water. With Curiosity, there's a drill hole, and so it's kind of highlighted for you. With Curiosity, we said let's follow the water question.
There's the drill hole right there. Hopefully everybody sees that. See right there, the white arrow? There's a drill hole. They drilled a hole in the ground.
Was Mars ever habitable? Meaning, could it have ever supported life? And so what we do is we drill into the rock because we know the surface has been heavily radiated from the sun. It's been oxidized, which gives Mars that reddish color. But we believe that what's preserved inside the rock has a chance of telling us a story about Mars as well. And so we drilled the rock to get that, tell that story.
Was there ever life on Mars?
So we can't answer that. So we aren't looking for life, but we can tell you that somewhere around 4 billion years ago, there would have been in the area that we landed on somewhere between ankle to hip high water, and that water had all the ingredients to support life. So if you had introduced life into that water, had a chance of surviving. Now I can't answer, of course, whether there was life or not.
You should have lied and been like, oddly, frogs. You can't see behind the rover, just littered with frogs.
Let's look at some more photos here. We have some still photos, and I mean, as we're looking at them, we can talk about the photos. Sure. Just talk generally about what is going on. But why is it important that we explore Mars, first of all?
Well, I mean, for me, it's kind of one of the fundamental questions of putting our own planet in context. If you look at Mars, the gravity is about 3/8 of Earth's gravity. It's very, you and I can walk fairly comfortably around there. In fact, there's certain amount of people being on the moon and tripping a lot because the gravity is so low that you can't quite keep your sense of balance. But Mars would be fairly comfortable. We know 4 billion years ago it had water. We know there's still water in the ice in the polar caps today. It's not much further from the sun. Daytime temperatures are almost Earth-like. So it's one of those planets that should be very similar to us, but it's obviously, you look at a picture like this, there's no sign of life. And so I think it provides a second data point. What?
Have you read somebody probably, I'm guessing he's the smartest person that's ever been on the show.
Yeah, you guys had Buzz, right? Yeah, Buzz on the show.
Buzz Aldrin was here as well.
Yeah, but Buzz had like the technology of like a reel-to-reel tape recorder. They were just like cowboys.
He has like a PhD.
I know, but they were like cowboys, like ripping and ripping. Let's go. It's Miller time. You like you're a physicist, rocket scientist. Are you classified though?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, work on that.
Yeah.
What is this we're looking at?
So we're looking at the foothills of Mount Sharp. This is actually the area that we're headed towards. And if you look at this is one of the very first pictures we took. So when you look at it, I feel like it reminds me of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And you see that like sedimentary layers, the formation of layers over time on Mars, and that's a history of Mars that's being presented to us. So that's why we like this area. You can go down those layers and get to different time periods on Mars, and you can actually tell how Mars evolved over time. So that's why we're driving to an interesting place. I can't wait because I think the pictures when we get there are just going to be spectacular.
Go back. I know it's the red planet. What's the black asphalt?
So there's it is somewhat basaltic, so like volcanic material in nature, and this is mostly windswept material. So along the foothills, there's basically over time the wind has sort of brushed stuff up against there, and that's what you see.
Let's flip through some pictures here. What's the most surprising thing that you've found so far?
Honestly, I'd like to say that the lack of surprises is the best thing about this mission because we chose a landing site hoping that it would be habitable, hoping that it had ample evidence of water in the past, and we do that from orbital data. And we have 2 U.S. or actually now 3 U.S. missions there. There is a European mission and an Indian mission there, and we've had other U.S. missions in the past. So we use that data to kind of build a hypothesis, and then we go with Curiosity to prove it. And I think that's the most amazing thing. Now, the surprises have usually been like, oh, we're having more issues than we thought, or something happens.
But you're not secretly hoping that something's going to jump out from behind a rock.
I think all of us are kind of hoping for that.
I mean, is there even an inkling of that in the back of your mind? Just a possible, like maybe you'll see, like you'll drill and like a little worm will come out, or like a bug flies through the landing or something.
Find like a fossil than I think we'd find like present life. But that would be amazing. I mean, listen, the idea that somewhere else in our own solar system that life could arise, that's pretty awesome to me. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that there's a potential for Mars to be this origin of life, and that meteorites brought those to Earth.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what we're looking at here. If we can scroll
this was a rock that I think some people
we
zoom out on. I mean, when you zoom out, like, some people thought it was like a kind of a line. I think there's like sort of a tiger stripe thing going on there, but some people thought actually
that's the middle of the day there. That's the sun hitting that.
That's the middle. Yeah, it's a
daytime shot,
noonish kind of shot. Yeah.
Let's look at another shot. This is
And so this is what we're seeing. So we see a lot of this kind of bedrock material. It's embedded rock. I don't know which neighborhood this is because I'm not the expert on the neighborhood.
What would break those rocks up, Bobak? It seems like environmentally and...
So it's almost over, but there's another example of just the compartmentalization that they do, that you ask them certain questions. Like, I have no idea about that. I just do one thing and this guy does another thing, and we get tones and we get these pictures, which are clearly taken at Devon Island, but how would they ever know? They just are too sold on it to ever even question what they're being given. And man, if you think there's a robot on Mars,
cosmically, something of import must have had to have separated those rocks to put them in those square shapes.
Well, a lot of that's from cracking when the water was probably leaving the surface. So it would have been sort of like a dry bed lake.
Did the tire, did the wheel of the rover, like, you blew a tire? It's aluminum, right?
We haven't blown a tire. They're made out of solid blocks of aluminum. Yeah, these are carved essentially out of a solid block of aluminum, so there's no weakness. This is us in the Mars yard, so we're testing it.
Yeah. I think we actually have a photo of the actual hole in the tire.
There are now some holes that are they're intentional holes. The intentional holes actually are a clever engineering solution. They spell out JPL and Morse code, and then here you can see a little damage to in between the sort of what we call the grousers, the zigzag pattern on there. The damage was a little bit of a surprise. The terrain here was different than what we've seen elsewhere on Mars that we've landed. We've landed now 3 times on Mars with rovers. So it's definitely different than that, and it's sort of like the analogy we like to use is it's...
Wait a minute, that's not Mars.
This is my tire. This is my tire. This is my tire, my 1979 Camaro. Yeah.
But they're telling your car.
That's different, though. That's a different tire. Let's get back to the other one.
It's the San Fernando Valley. It might as well be Mars.
Oh.
But were you expecting that tire to get a hole in it?
It's definitely more accelerated than we thought. We know the tires are they will get damaged over time, but it was faster than we anticipated. And so now we're sort of managing the wheels as a resource. But the team is great at it. We're learning tricks for driving backwards to minimize the wheel damage. We've looked from orbital images to find kind of sandier places where it's easier to drive. So there's a lot of tricks that we have up our sleeve to minimize it. And the rover drivers are really, these guys are absolutely amazing.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back. It's so interesting to me, but we will...
So if you ever want to check that out again, his name is Bobak Ferdowski, but the next 2 segments are more of just the exact same. The guy's clueless. But again, I'm going to look at the chat right now and ask anybody, does anybody actually believe that, number one, obviously we don't, or I'm guessing most of you don't believe that we are on Mars, but the question would be, does Tom Green believe any of this stuff? That's my question to you. You tell me, does Tom Green believe that anybody's been to the moon or on Mars at all? That would be my question right now. I got to know what people think, because he's just clearly laughing at it. That's the whole point of it. He's putting up his own car and laughing at it, that it's a tire from his car. And I don't know. We'll see what it says here. See what anybody thinks. I just don't think there's a way. So I did, Tom Green, if you're listening, I emailed you. I asked you for a chat. I would love to talk to you, because it's people like Tom Green or these other people that have a voice that I'm afraid are not speaking out. And he did a good job. I can't blame him for what he did. He went on there, he laughed at it. He laughed at Buzz, he laughed at this guy, made jokes about it, made jokes about people popping out from behind that it looked like Nevada or whatever he said. You can't really knock him for doing that, but I would love to talk to these guys, because I think that's what's missing, is that for some reason people think that they just aren't allowed to say those things. And yeah, I know why it is, because you're not allowed to question mainstream science. You're just not. You just can't get away with it. So I do want to see if there's any questions. I'm going to bring that up. If anybody's got any questions for me, just type in question, or my name would be good because it highlights it on there so I can see. And then ask questions. I'll take questions for the next 10 or 15 minutes and call it a night. Let me see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you? Oh, I did have one other thing. Where can I bring this up here? It was actually for Infinite Plane Society, really, but I found this little cool logo. Where do I have it here? I'll show you. But again, type my name if you've got a question for me of any kind. And again, I always bring it up, but if you have a question for me, the best place to go is ask.fm. And also, it might actually answer you some questions. So we'll actually go there real quick and just show you. Because I've answered something like, I don't know, 300-400. I don't even know what it is. But it's something that's easy for me to get to when I'm around the house or when we're driving in the car or whatever. It's just something I can jump on real quick and knock out. So let's see here if we can get this on here. Hello. Come on. And transition. Okay, so if you go to ask.fm, basically you can just pop in your question here and hit ask. And you'll also see, oh, I've got 658. So 658 answers. And so you can just thumb through this and see that people have been asking me things for as far back as somebody asked me after the spacewalk that we watched. Great show this morning. What soundboard do you have? You were cracking me up today. So I took a picture of this. Is actually the soundboard. I know it's sideways. You can't see it. But the soundboard that we use, it's you can put your own background on it. It's cool. Put these your own buttons. So that's the soundboard we use for the radio show. But anyway, there's just tons of questions. So maybe some of the things have already been answered. A lot of people have questions about flat Earth. If you send them here, a lot of things have been already talked about, discussed. And I don't think there's anything I've changed my mind on a lot. I think I understand the southern flights a little bit more than I used to. Once I understood what ground speed is and indicated airspeed, and once I got that all down, then it made a lot more sense to me. I mean, here's what we have to know, just so you can kind of see where I'm going forward with that, is if you just think of the southern flights and the fact that there is about, 2,500 miles is a guess, difference between, let me bring up a flat Earth map, just so we can look at it together, but you'll see, oops. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. And I'll just kind of show you what I'm talking about. Because once I kind of realized this, then I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. That's a good one. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this image here. Down. Okay. So when you're talking about Australia to Chile, and we know that Max Egan took that flight, took him 11 and a half hours, and the miles on that flight is 7,000. Okay, so doing that distance, if we get a little calculator here, and we say they went 7,000 miles, and we divide that by 11.5, okay, we get 608 miles per hour, okay, which makes sense. That's about what planes go. We know that, so everything seems to jive, right? Yet, other people have shown that there are, and I guess we could show this too, might as well, while we're here. If we go to earth.nullschool, we're going to figure out if there's any jet streams that those planes could be possibly getting into. Another thing that we've changed, I don't know if people know this, but when you get to this site, it used to be right on the azimuthal equidistant. Now when you bring that up, it actually starts with Australia in the middle. Antarctica in the middle, which is just funny because it didn't used to do that until flat Earth started being talked about. You have to kind of flip yourself your own little map here. Okay. So when we do this, all of a sudden things start looking a little bit more like they make sense. So we're doing wind, and then we're going to go height. Well, in between 250 and 700 is the jet streams, or is about 35,000 feet. 250 is about 32,000 feet, and 70 is about 45,000 feet. So, it'd be nice if they had like a 150 in here, but they don't. So when you look at these jet streams here, remember we were talking about a flight going from here out of, Australia. I can't really see where it's at now. Hello. Okay, over here. Oops, right about there. Okay, so it's coming this way. We know that they're circling this way. And if you catch some of these winds, that's 166 kilometers per hour, 186, 203. Oops, that's too far. Getting over here, we got 147, 201. And this is like too much this way. Are you there? Okay, and then if you go even higher, so let's go up to the 70 here, then you can see you've got winds at 116, at 100. Okay, so you've got now here even higher, you've got even more. Okay, and this is probably around 45,000 or higher though. But you've got 153, 165, 177, 151. These ones here are flying around. And these are the polar winds. And the southern polar winds are year-round. They're not as variable as the middle is. And so what you've got now is, here's what we got to believe. We just found out that there is definitely air currents going. So what is more plausible? that the plane is going 608 miles per hour and is not having any wind? We just saw that all the wind is going in that direction. So if you believe in trade winds, which everybody should, because that's how planes fly and that's how they cut time, and that's why planes going generally in an east direction are faster than coming west. So if you believe that, then what is the reason the plane is only going 608 miles per hour? What you have to believe is, let's say that those planes are going 150, or there's 150 mile per hour wind. Well, then you have to believe that that plane is actually going only 450, because that's what it means. When you're being carried by the jet streams, that only can be measured by ground-based tracking or GPS or with known distances. So what I'm trying to say is, if this was actually 2,000 miles longer, okay, so let's say this is a much more vast area, that all you would need to do is get that plane up there and going a little bit faster, and nobody would ever know. Not the pilot, not the people who are tracking the plane, not the people flying in the plane, not the passengers, nobody. Because there's nothing to tell you that what's happening. Basically, we know that they can add that 150 miles per hour to that speed. And again, if you take that, let's just take 150. So if instead of 608, now we add 150, now we've got 758 miles per hour. And then you can times that by the 11.5. And that's just, now you've got 8,717. So now you've got an extra almost 2,000 miles, 1,700. And that's a low estimate. And again, that 11.5 hours is a quick flight for that way. And then going back, it takes 14 hours, which makes sense. We just saw that the jet streams are usually going the other direction. So really just something that I think I've changed my mind on before. I was a little bit confused how that all worked, but now it's like, well, wait a second. Either I have to believe that the plane is going a lot slower than it can go, because it doesn't affect the speed of sound when you're being carried by the wind, because the speed of sound, you would break the sound barrier if you're cutting through the wind at that speed. But if you're being carried by any trade winds, you just set the plane to 0.95 Mach and go. So either you have to believe that the plane is going 450 for some reason. I don't know why. No planes go just cruising at 450 for some reason, and then letting the jet streams pull them up to 600. Or the plane is really going as fast as it can, probably 650, plus an additional 150 miles per hour that makes up that distance. Again, the reason this would not be known is because if all they can base it off of is ground speed. So it's basically how much distance is the plane covering in a certain amount of time. Well, if there's a deception there, nobody would know. You just have to accept the fact that the plane is actually going 450, being carried with winds, and for some reason the plane doesn't maximize its fuel efficiency and actually get up in the winds and go as fast as it can. It just feels like cruising. I don't believe that, and I think that's the answer. That if it were true that and there's a lot of people out there that think southern flights disprove the flat Earth, and actually the southern flights prove the flat Earth. So, or at least evidence towards it. So, amongst many others. So let's go back and see if there's any more chat here. What was I saying before we got on that? I took a diverge, didn't I? I was going to check if anybody had any questions. I see people punching in questions on ask.fm. I'll get to those after. Let's see here. So what is hilarious? You can't just say it's hilarious. It's hilarious that people question where they live when they're given no evidence. That's what's hilarious, I guess. They probably do cancel the flight when the winds are low. I wouldn't doubt that. Again, here's another thing, is if it was real, the distance was exactly like we're given. People say, how could you question the distance? It says it's 7,000 miles. Then show me a cruise that goes from New Zealand to South America. There isn't one. Well, there is if you go up to Japan and up to Alaska and around down by California and then down to the South America. But where's the boat that goes straight across? Well, there's not one, because boats are not like planes. Planes can have the variance we just talked about of 200 miles per hour that nobody would really notice, but a boat cannot go more than 20 miles per hour. Sure, if it's got a current with it, maybe it's going 24. If it's going a little slow, it's going 18. But a cruise ship cannot make up that distance in the amount of time they would be 5 days overdue. So, just trying to see here. Is it true that Tom Green is IPS and a female? Well, I wouldn't doubt it, No, I didn't. Yeah, I'm not into that kind of stuff. Everybody else is, Open to do whatever the investigation they want to do. I just saw somebody sent me something on Ask.fm saying, did I know that Bruce Lee was Michio Kaku? Which I said, I don't even care. Like, I don't even know what that's going to do to anything. It doesn't matter to me. Even if it is true, you would never be able to prove it. And even if you did prove it, you'd never find out who was responsible for it. And let's just assume that that's true. Who cares? Then that's even more reason to question everything we've been told. And if it's not true, then yeah, I don't know. I worry a little bit, though, that I think that the whole idea of question everything, which is definitely something we should do. But I've heard a lot of people saying a lot of things about a lot of girls, and it's not that people say, oh, your paradigm is taken. No, it's not my paradigm. I just don't see any reason why somebody would say that Taylor Swift is a guy. Don't see any reason for that. What difference would that make? What would they do that for? I think what they're trying to do is kind of throw this whole gender thing into a frenzy where you don't even trust people's genders anymore. That's what they're trying to do. So I don't think it's a safe. You need to trust yourself. I look at Taylor Swift and that is a girl. That's just me. Let's see here. Anything else? Flat Earth asshole in the house. Yes, planes can fly faster than we're told. They're being carried by the wind streams. I mean, it's a known thing, and yet people just want to ignore it when it comes to the southern flights. And it's certainly, the thing that makes me laugh is anybody saying this is proof of the round Earth. This is proof of the round Earth. There's so many things wrong with the round Earth that if you find one thing wrong with the flat Earth, well then let's put our heads together and see if we can figure it out. That's all it comes down to. There's still people who don't understand. They say, well, the stars go the opposite way in the south and the north. It's impossible on a flat Earth. Yet, if you look at the North Star right up in your sky and picture the stars going counterclockwise, and then you just turn to your right, and the stars keep coming out of the east, going over your head, keep turning to face the south, and the stars are coming out of your left side, going up and over. That's clockwise. Done. Easy. Yet people have been told that it is proof. So they think that. But yeah, Flat Earth Asshole's been doing a bang up job on going after Mick West. And I saw he was commenting in your comment section. You did a number on him. He deserves it. ODD Reality doing an awesome job. Great videos. If you guys haven't checked out his new album, it is, as they would say in the industry, dope. And let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can read this. Don't say that about Taylor. Yeah, I don't think Taylor. No, I don't. But again, would it even bother me if it came out to be true? Well, no. It just would be like, well, that's dirtball because I thought she was a girl. But I mean, I feel like you should be able to trust your own feelings, your own gut. You should have. But I believe they're calling all that stuff into question. And that's how they're trying to mix all these genders. And yeah, am I for gay rights? Am I for transgender rights? Sure, I believe that you shouldn't impact anybody else's freedom to live the life the way they want to, as long as they're not injuring children or people that don't want to be injured or don't want to be involved in that. And for the most part, they aren't. But then is there an agenda? Oh yeah, there's an agenda. Absolutely, there's an agenda. It's all over. How far is the moon from Earth? I have no idea. How would I know that? Nope, don't know. I don't know. 10,000 miles. I have no idea. Mick is joining Flat Earth groups now and Facebook and calling the Rogers Center a mirage. Yeah, well, that's what they have to call it. I think, we can watch real quick. This is probably one of the funnier videos there is. I just watched it yesterday because I had to see it again. So Rob Skiba did a video. And he's talking about refraction and all that stuff. But there's the same guy that I had at the intro of my video that says it's a mirage. What you see in here is a mirage. He goes back and does some tests because he wants to basically figure out what's going on. And so he deals with this optics expert, I guess is what you would call him. And it is probably one of the funniest interviews you've ever heard. Yeah, this one here. This guy who's in charge of optics. Let me turn this down for a second. Now, here's the funny two things to watch in this conversation. First, watch the meteorologist's face during the entire explanation. And second, just listen to this so-called intellectual explain to us all what's going on exactly when we're looking at the buildings over the water at Lake Michigan. This is hilarious.
Ways that refraction in the atmosphere can occur.
The conversation the weatherman had with the optics expert at that university. Check this out.
There are now lots of different ways that refraction in the atmosphere can occur, and one way that can happen is called looming. And this is a situation where cases where you can see objects in the distance that would normally be obscured by the curvature of the Earth. So as an example, in the next picture we'll show a picture taken from a person standing on the shoreline of Lake Michigan, and he can see almost to ground level Chicago, whereas normally you wouldn't be able to see that far because of the curvature of the Earth. So what's happening in this case is, especially this time of year, Lake Michigan is much colder than the air above it, and that has the effect of cooling the air just above the lake. And so now you have the case where the index of refraction is increasing with the height above the lake, and this has the effect of bending light rays back down so that they can get around the curvature of the Earth and be seen by an observer standing on the shoreline here in Michigan.
Now, prior to doing this research, I probably would have just shook my head and agreed with everything he just said, but now that I've begun to question the shape and nature of the Earth and look at it from a different perspective, this seems to me like an ad hoc theory. It seems like they start with the premise, well, we all, of course...
Right, and that's the thing that they always do. They start with the premise that the Earth is round, and then from there build their evidence. And so it's hard to refute that when that's the way they're coming up with it. So let's listen to him now. Just sound ridiculous.
The city is thrown up over the curve so that we can see it.
Mirage and then looming.
Like to me, anyway. All right, let's continue.
So is all this under Mirage and then looming is under Mirage, or what are the semantics of looming versus Mirage?
Okay, well, that's all. I guess that's all in the details of the terminology. And from what I understand, technically, I think Mirage has to have an.
Let's listen to that again. That is the funniest bunch of words put together I've ever heard in my life.
Like to me, anyway. All right, let's continue.
So is all this under Mirage and then looming is under Mirage, or what are the semantics of looming versus Mirage?
Okay, well, that's all. I guess that's all in the details of the terminology. And from what I understand, technically, I think Mirage has to have an inverted image, whereas there are other atmospheric effects such as looming or towering that are purely displacement, and you don't necessarily have to have an inverted image in order for refractive effects to occur in the atmosphere.
So they would all fall under the category of atmospheric refraction.
I guess that would be a good thing to say. Yes.
Is that what I mean? If you're a believer in the globe and you watch that, just think there's people who watch that and walk away like, "Yep, I knew it. Knew it's a globe. The guy just described it perfectly. He just didn't say technically. Well, it's all in the semantics. It's really it's like a word that's the way I feel and what I understand is that. I mean, is that the way we describe things? And then they do a test here at the end, which is classic. Let me show you this test.
Half-hour video. But I'm beginning to think if that is indeed the science. Simple example.
So if you're looking at Chicago here, just maybe now you can just see the top of the Sears Tower, and if our simulation.
Okay, so what they're doing is they're looking at a flat table, number one. Then they're putting a lens at the end. Sorry, they're putting a lens at the end of the table, and then way over here on the wall, they've got a picture of buildings. So, globe believers, what is missing from this equation? Where is all the water that should be between this lens and this picture? So let's do a thought experiment, or you can even do the experiment if you've got a magnifying glass at home. Picture you're looking at your wall in the distance, and you hold a magnifying glass up to your eye. Okay, so you're looking at your wall, and let's say you've got a couple dots on the bottom, and you've got some dots in the middle and some dots up high. And you look through that lens, is everything that is below your lens going to show in that magnifying glass? Well, absolutely. You're looking through the magnifying glass, which is magnifying everything that's beyond it. So even if it's down at the corner of the wall, even if it's down at the bottom of the wall, you're going to see it through that magnifying glass. So they're using that as an example of things being pulled up from behind the table to lift it into your view. Well, the problem is where's all the water? So if you now do the thought experiment we just did, but instead you hold that magnifying glass up to your eye and you put a body of water underneath your nose and run it towards the wall, are you going to see things that are behind that wall of water come up over it? No. Everything you see will be the water magnified. That's why we get the idea of water looks like it's rising to our eye level. When you look out at the horizon, it looks like the water's up high. That's because you're looking at air that is lensing or magnifying the water right behind it. And that's the reason you get buildings behind that water. That you're just magnifying everything that's beyond that, which starts with what's the first thing beyond the lensing? The water. What's the one thing missing from this experiment?
Temperature inversion
Water.
moves into place. Hopefully now you can see pretty much all of
Yeah,
Chicago,
see all the lower buildings,
including what's at ground level.
So the atmosphere really is acting like a lens.
Yes.
So the atmosphere really is.
All right. Well, check out Rob Skiba's video. He does great work on this particular issue. He actually went out there and did the tests and measured it. And this is another great video to watch here. The one from Skunk Bay. That's just one of those good
on the left.
Good shows that shows
Keep your eye on that.
Sorry. But if you watch this land, and this is just throughout the day, watching how this water rises, how it sinks, how it will cover these. Now again, is this the water actually rising? No, we're looking through a bunch of air here, and the air is magnifying things behind it. It's distorting things behind it, causing all kinds of waviness to happen, causing all kinds of rising, and that doesn't mean that is a ball in any way. Not in the least. So go back and look at, see if there's any more chat. But just wanted to point that out. And let's get back to the chat here. Oops. No, I can't see it. That was good. All right. Any final questions? I wanted to keep these to an hour. We're at an hour and a half. It's a mirage. Yep. It's a mirage. I mean, again, I'll bring up this point, and then somebody give me the answer to this one. Remember what relativity means, because I keep going on this, because this is one of the biggest things to me, is relativity means that there is no absolute motion. Every motion in the universe is relative. Okay, so if you say something's moving, well, you can just say that thing's moving around something else. You can go stand somewhere else and something else is moving. That's what they believe in. They believe in Einstein. They believe in relativity. That is the fact. So then they teach children in school that they orbit the sun. Okay, so if you can't see that there's a problem there, if you can't see there's no such thing as absolute motion, so how can you say we orbit the sun? It's relative. It means if you're standing on the earth, the sun looks to be going around the earth. If you stand on the sun, the earth looks to be going around the sun. So you've got a scientific belief in relativity, yet they teach you absolute motion. And if that doesn't tell you that science has an agenda, and that agenda is to squash any idea of anything other than material, because as soon as you find out, well, wait a second, we could be the center of the universe, well, then science gets called into question, right? Because science says that that can't be. That would imply purpose. That would imply design. Heaven forbid our scientists actually just do science rather than to force their philosophical beliefs into our science. So, let's see here. Anything else? Still haven't explained how satellite TV works or GPS. What do you mean? Absolutely have explained that. That's easy. And it would be so simple for them to send up the beam. You don't think they have angles down where they can send up the beam and have it come right back down to the houses that they want? In fact, they've got balloons that weigh 8,000 pounds, or actually the balloon can lift 8,000 pounds. And we've seen satellites. Look at, I'll bring it up for you since you think we haven't explained that. Just go and look up, I don't know, NASA balloons is what we'll search here. Oh, I don't have it showing for you. I'll show it right now. But look up NASA balloons and let's look what's attached to them. And let's transition this. Okay, so now we're going to look up NASA balloons and we're going to go images. since you think we haven't. Okay, so this thing here, if you don't think this explains how your DirecTV works, they can put balloons up, and once they get up to about 150,000 feet, there is no wind, which means they can control where they stay. And it's not like, people, oh, your DirecTV dish has to be exact. Yeah, right. With the wind that goes on on your roof, with the rain and the sleet and no way. They don't have to be exact. They have to be pretty close. You can't aim it 10 degrees off, but you just have to come pretty close because this is what's happening. So it'd be very easy to shoot something from the ground up, reflection off this. People pick it up from their dishes. They pay $100 a month for something that they shouldn't have to. And I mean, these are all over. These are tons of these different types of satellites, balloons. Look at this thing. I mean, this thing's got cameras on it, and they say, oh, the ISS couldn't possibly be a balloon, couldn't be a high altitude plane. Yeah, it couldn't be, because we just put up these things being carried by balloons that just show the ground with cameras. So you're right. We must believe in this orbiting spacecraft because people tell us that it exists. Doesn't make any sense to me. Look at this thing. This is on a balloon, folks. 8,000 pounds is the weight of 3 Honda Civics. So you can lift 3 Honda Civics with one balloon. And yet people still don't want to face facts. And you say, how does GPS work? Look up GPS. It doesn't even say. I mean, you could just look up cell phone navigation. That it's not, you think your cell phone has GPS, but just look up cell phone navigation. It's like, how does my cell phone tell me where to go? Is it GPS? And then let's go to all and see if we find something with Wikipedia or something so that you believe it. I don't know if there's anything here. GPS navigation. Oh, that's Google Play. Let's see. Cell phone navigation wiki. But this is the kind of thing that people need to do their own rather than say, you haven't explained. It's not my job to explain anything to you. Not my job to explain a thing. If you can't look at things yourself and make up your own mind, well then enjoy the fabrications that you've been taught. And you see here, let's see what we're talking about. It was used with vehicle navigation, commonly referred to as GPS. So this is talking about, I'm talking about cell phone navigation, not GPS, but it's the same thing is what I'm basically saying. You wouldn't know the difference. And they've got the Russian system, which is the GLONASS. Let's see what we got here. So this talks about the history again, and you can just look up the 1962 Satellite Communications Act. I refer to this all the time because they even give you the little hints in the Wikipedia even. Yeah, Communications Act, Satellite Act 1962. Watch this line here. This is great. This one right here. Disagreement with the passing of the act. Okay. So it's 1962. All of a sudden some guys come forward and say, we're going to start putting satellites up. We're going to start sending TV and signals through there. And it says, Democratic Senator Russell B. Long of Louisiana said of the act, when this bill first started out, I thought it was as crooked as a dog's hind leg. I am now convinced that would be a compliment. This bill is as crooked as a barrel of snakes. The American Telephone and Telegraph Company, which is AT&T, argued that using space for communications was just a modern representation of submarine communication cables currently in use. So again, let me read that for you again. That the American Telephone and Telegraph Company argued that using space for communications was just a modern representation of the submarine communications cables currently in use. AT&T proposed joint ownership of all the communication satellites. So AT&T says, hold on a second. You guys are just faking people out. We propose that we are involved. We don't want to not be involved in this. Are we going to get a cut of people's money? Are we going to get to steal some too? So AT&T proposed the joint ownership of all the communication satellites with control-based system facilities. But since AT&T had a majority of the world communications, this proposition was opposed by the other communication companies. And then the Federal Communications Commission proposed that the 10 companies join together a program, but this was put down by antitrust legalization. But then the compromise allowed them to have a government overseeing, and basically who's the government that oversees it? The United States government, including the President, NASA, and the FCC, were all to maintain the duties to monitor the communication satellites. The President was to observe every aspect of the development and operation of the satellite systems. He's also responsible for blah, 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 blah. And so if you still think that your GPS has to come from satellites, I mean, go to the top of a mountain, drive to the top of a mountain range, and tell me if you get better service or worse service. I mean, you get worse service. You don't get better service all of a sudden because you're at the top of the mountain, which would be the case if you were getting stuff from the sky, but you're not. Okay, so anyway, if you haven't seen it yet, check out what's in the box. Okay, yeah, check out what's in the box. I don't know what is in the box. Okay, somebody's cussing. That's nice. And all globals can do is regurgitate what they've been told. Yeah, it's rough. They don't. I mean, that's kind of my new thought. Is that, you know, I can't spend so much time, because I spend too much time trying to convert people, and then I realize that I mean, how many people have actually been converted? And when I say that, I mean, I've gotten a ton of emails from people saying, I watched your videos, I laughed at you, I thought you were a joke, I went to work and thought about it, came back, watched more videos, and then realized that I needed to research it myself and came to the conclusion the earth is flat. That I get all the time. But I'm talking about the people who are animate, meaning they're making videos, or they are in the comment sections calling people names. Does anybody know of any of those people that have ever been converted? I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. Oh yeah, Scott, I did see the video, so I'll have to check it out. I did see that video of the supposed curved water found. I did go and look at it on Google Earth, and I couldn't even find the tall structure he was talking about, so I got to do some more research on that. But interesting indeed. GoPro distorts reality and appearance. Unreliable, absolutely. Flat Earth is mainstream. Well, not quite yet, but look up antenna height calculator. Okay. And see if there's anything else here. Any questions before we sign off? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to tell you. A couple good videos coming, so keep your eyes on that. I do have a video coming where I'm going to be, well, debunking the little short video. I'm sure you've seen it by Noodlehead, or I don't know what it's called. Noodle something? I don't know. Ridiculous guy. He's got 1 million something subscribers who made like a 5-minute video of nonsense. See here. Thank you very much. Charles, if you're talking to me, I don't mind being a joke. Just because that's your only way to respond to me. Tells me a lot about you, I guess. So, more power to you. If that's how you want to get through life. If that's what you think saves your paradigm, then go ahead. I mean, you're the guy in a flat earth chat room. I mean, who's the joke? What does that say? I don't know. Trump said Monday the earth is flat. I don't think so, but scientists who believe the earth is flat. So, I mean, I don't know what you're asking for there. It'd be like telling me that any electrician that says that we should all go to solar power. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that's happening out there? I think there's a lot of electricians going around telling people we should all move to solar power, even though I put my entire career into electricity. I think solar power. You know, my dad came over one time. My dad's an electrician, by the way. And my dad came over and took out my solar lights that were on my pathway. He removed them because that's how upset he was that I was using solar-powered little dollar lights I bought from Orchard. But that just tells you exactly what I'm saying. It's the same thing when you say, is there any scientists who believe the earth is flat? Well, of course not. What do you mean? That doesn't even make sense. No, they wouldn't believe that because then they wouldn't be a scientist. When you become a scientist, you've already been indoctrinated into that school of thought. You've made friends with all those people. You've gone around speaking tours and speaking in front of people, pretending like you're smart, telling people you're smart, telling people you know all the answers. So if you think that's not human nature. Human being cannot possibly just say, you know what, I was wrong, and now I'm ready to tell everybody I was wrong and that I lied to them for 30 years. And it can't happen. Can't happen. How does GoPro distort reality? What do you mean? How? Because a GoPro lens is a wide-angle lens that turns things into a sphere. How does it distort reality? Have you ever seen a GoPro camera on a balloon launch? It actually inverts the Earth the other way half the time. You know, when it's going up, of course, the Earth's below it, so it's keeping it like a ball. But as soon as it goes up, then it bows the Earth the other way. Man, that's the let's go ahead and give that the official. Comment of the week goes to whoever just asked me, how does GoPro distort reality? Comment of the week, you win. You win a thumbs up from me. Excellent comment. Really impressive. Let's see here. Let's see anybody. Jeranism wrench to post a link. I don't know what that means. That is going up at the airport in Philly. We need input as to what to put on it. It will run for a week. Nice idea. Let me see. I don't know if I can get over there and wrench you because I'm looking at my screen, not the shit. I don't know if I can. If I can find you in here. Where are you? Where is it at? And that was, by the way, 0 Point who wins the comment of the week. I don't understand that question could be asked. Do I think Jordan Maxwell is legit? What depends what you mean by legit. I think he's a legit researcher. He said some things on my radio show that made me, I probably won't have him back on my show, but I think he's legit. I don't think he's a hidden Freemason or something like that, but no. Is he legit? I don't know what you mean by that. Legit. Who isn't legit? What do you mean? Is he legitly a human? Is he what? Explain that answer or question. Why can't I find the person who asked that question? Okay, here's somebody, David Smith. Sorry, just saw your thing. If the Earth is flat, then why do I have to polar align my telescope mount to the axis of rotation of the Earth every time I set it up? Because you're just doing the opposite of lining up the rotation of the sky. It's identical. There's no difference. It's either the sky's moving or the Earth's moving. You believe the Earth's moving. That's what you're lining up your telescope to measure, but it's the same the opposite way. It's not like if the Earth is moving, it's 2 times as fast as the sky's moving. No, if the Earth is moving, it's the same speed as if the sky is moving the same speed. So I don't know if that's what you meant by that question, or it should be easy to figure out though. I mean, if you're lining it up to the pole and then setting it to the Earth's rotation, you're just doing the same thing as setting it to the sky moving. Unless I'm misunderstanding your question, which is a possibility. Do you think your dad ever watches a live stream? No, I don't. No, I don't. My dad is he was always pay your taxes, get a job, definitely that 1940s, 1950s, watch out for nukes. The JFK assassination was another Hollywood hoax. They used a dummy and a fake head explosion. Okay, so anybody JFK did not die that day. Okay, so anybody who says that, then what is your evidence? Because if you're basing your evidence off the film that we saw, that is the Zapruder film that came out 10 years after it happened. So because there's a dummy in the 10-year-old footage that came out 10 years after, that means that JFK didn't die that day? How do we know that he didn't die that day and that they simply went back and made a doctored video that kind of led to what they wanted to show people? That's what I think. I mean, I've never seen any evidence that JFK did not die that day. Now, if you're talking about did I see evidence that the video was effed with heavily? Yeah. I mean, was it a Hollywood hoax? I don't think it was a Hollywood hoax. I think that they absolutely killed JFK. Could it have been another day? I guess. I don't know what the difference it does, what difference it makes, really. Lasers do not lie. I agree with that one. Have there been any astronomers who now believe in the flat Earth? I just answered that question. It's impossible for somebody who has been put through schooling for 8 years to call into question their entire lives. It's just something that doesn't happen. Now, might there be one out there? Sure, but is he being quiet about it? Absolutely. He's not going to come out and say that when his entire friendships, his entire, not political career, but his entire educational career, everything it would be put on the line to say that. I don't think it's smart. Okay, I see you, anonymous guest. What? Anonymous guest? That's your name? Okay, well, I'm going to take your wrench away pretty quick, but anyway. Okay, there you go. You can drop your link. See if there's anything else here before I go. Jaren, it's not just in Dr. Oops, I lost that. Shoot, sorry. Damn it. Oh, can you ask people to hit up the Daily Planet, thedailyplane.com to help vote for the Philly airport billboard? Yeah, that's awesome. Good idea. Everybody check out thedailyplane.com. I guess they're going to put up a Philadelphia airport billboard, which Dearth has talked about for a while. Jordan Maxwell, do you think he's withholding info? Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, maybe. He seems to be on this trip that, which I don't like people saying, is that humans are not ready for the truth, that they don't want the truth, which is mostly true. But on the other hand, they don't want the truth and they're not ready for the truth because they've been lied to. So I just don't think that's a good statement to make and makes no sense to me. I think that means he has some sort of something that he doesn't think people want to hear. And he wasn't very, he didn't give it up to me either. So if you're talking about that legit wise, he may know things that he's not telling. Sorry, I need a drink. Polaris hasn't moved. Yeah, another thing is look up the pole star for the Bhagavad Gita. I just saw that yesterday. That the name of the pole star in the ancient Hindu books is the meaning of that word is unmovable, fixed. So they're talking about Polaris, and that was 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. So why is that star not moved when they tell us it does? Jaren, are belly buttons more dense than areolas? No, they're not. Jaren, give my wife a shout out. She won't watch your videos, but she's in the other room and can hear your voice. Roberta, why aren't you watching my videos? This is ridiculous. You need to come listen to the truth and stop watching the news. Peter says so. Charles Scott, how much time do you fucking spend focused on flat Earth? Okay, that's nice. Gravity is a convoluted idea. Yeah, they don't even understand it. Do a new Cokes video. I think enough people have seen that. I mean, yeah, I should do one because I've got tons of footage I've found that clearly shows it to be garbage. Now, again, does it mean that nukes don't exist? Well, no. I mean, I guess it could mean that. Even Einstein said that they didn't exist at one point. So, I just don't think that it was all a scare tactic. Well, I do think it was all a scare tactic propaganda, for sure. Do you believe there's other land behind the ice wall? I'll tell you my opinion of that. I don't like to say that, or I don't like to think that, because I think that what we have here is enough. And so I don't want to get my hopes up or people's hopes up or anything like that, because we don't need it. But if there's enough evidence that tells me that there very well could be. In fact, what was I watching the video the other day? I don't know if you guys have heard of the district theory. Pretty interesting, though, that, imagine just in a make-believe world where they knew that the Indians were all here in America, and they waited until they had the ships and the artillery and the manpower to go over and colonize America, right? So they hid it from everybody. They didn't tell people that America existed. And the whole idea of Columbus sailing, that is a fabrication in the fact that they knew that it was there. But because the Phoenicians went, we know all that. But imagine that they're doing the same thing now. So imagine that they know that there's a continent on the other side of Antarctica or whatever. And they're waiting until we've got the firepower. Because if you think about it, we certainly spend all our money on all these ships and all these planes and all these tanks and all this stuff. We're getting all the aircraft carriers. So is it possible that we're building up an arsenal just to go take over more land and enslave them too? Who knows? Interesting theory. They call it the district theory. I just heard it the other day. See if there's anything else. Jaren, should flat earthers be sterilized? Nope. Good question. Oh, is that Jeff C? Is Free Radio Revolution Revival, is that Jeff C? Talk about somebody who can't see, through a window. Water always runs downhill, finds its level. How does water stay level on a globe model? There you go. I guess, I'd love to hear if Jeff C thinks he lives on a spinning ball in space. He must. No. The Bhagavad Gita's pole star is not Thuban. No, I don't think so. I'll check that one. You sure, Orphan Red? Because the name of it is not obviously either one of those, but the name of it is the meaning of fixed and immovable. And Thuban, isn't that the star that's going to be, or that's the one that was? Will Torn Green buy the cast at all? And so, Jaren, do you know Metallica did a concert in Antarctica under a dome? I did hear that, yep. Where's Eddie Bravo? Don't know. Is that right there all the way at the bottom? Hey, we got another subscriber. Jaren, I'm working on setting up a convo between you and Kent Hovind. Yeah, you said that. That would be awesome. Yep, he can teach me all about Jesus. What do you think happens when there are 30 Flat Earth live streams and big ones have 20K, 30K viewers? What's the plan of the elite at that point? What? What do you think happens when there are 30 Flat Earth live streams and the big ones have 20K? I don't even want to think about that. I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. I don't think that they ever thought this was possible. I don't think they thought that that they built up a structure that you would get made fun of, you would get called names, you would be shamed, and therefore people would back down. And they probably never thought that people would just take it. And that's what we do. We just take it. Check out space.com. Space aggressors train us forces for extra. Yeah, I've heard that too. I heard him talking about it recently. Oh, it is Jeff C. Has it? Yeah. Jeff C. thinks that that you'd be able to see cuts in space. I mean, anybody who shows you a space footage and says, "See, there's no cuts here," that means that they couldn't do it in a parabolic flight. Doesn't understand the magic of video making. I mean, they could cut film without you seeing it. Probably in the 60s. Yet for some reason people think that today we'd be able to see every cut. Should they wear helmets in public? That's funny. This is where you spend your time, huh, Jeff? Why don't you go tell everybody how great of a video maker I am and how I started out the gate with great videos and then realized that I was using an iPhone app that anybody could use. Real tough. Impossible. You're a good researcher. What was your evidence of the claim that the pole star has always been Polaris when ancient myths talking about the Dragon King Thuban is in the Draco constellation? My evidence is that the thing that I was reading said the name of the star and that it was fixed and immovable, and that was 3,000 years ago, and I don't think there was another pole star 3,000 years ago. I don't think anybody claims that. So you're saying that Thuban was the star at the location 3,000 years ago? I'll have to look that up. I thought it was the one coming up. Evidence of ice wall? What do you mean? It's so funny that you say that. I don't know what do you want to see? Type in Antarctic ice wall. Why would I need to do that for you? You aren't capable of doing that on your own? Pretty sad. Let me go to browser and let me bring this up for you. Transition. Okay, so here we go. So here's your images. There's your evidence of an ice wall. That's really too hard for you to do. I mean, look at these people up here. How high do you think this wall is? That's not the ice wall. Okay, so if you're thinking, I think people think it's like a wall like the end of the earth. No, there's still Antarctica after it. So you got all this Antarctica. I just think it gets too cold. Keep going this way, you go away from the sun, it gets too cold. I don't know. That's what I think. But to just say there's no ice wall, all that people are saying when they call it an ice wall is that the water is held in around the edges, kind of like this. You know, that it would be, and this is obviously way exaggerated. I mean, just think of this right here, that the sun and moon would be extremely low. You know, that's another thing people don't realize is that if you look at this, okay, so how far is the distance of I don't know, let's say 300,000 feet, okay? Because we see balloons go up to 100,000 feet. They look like they don't get, obviously, to the sun height, but a little bit more. So let's say 3 times that. So 300,000 feet is 60 miles. So what does the distance of 60 miles look like on this map? It's like literally from my mouse to my mouse. Oh, you can't. Oh, you can. From here to here, that's 60 miles. So now turn that 60 miles up on its edge, and that's about as high as the sky is. That's as high as the sun is. That's as high as the moon is, at least to our viewpoint, our vantage point. So you're talking about it being so low, and that's why when it goes away from you, you lose it to perspective. Any pictures of the ice wall are fake CGI? See, I can do it too, but they're not. What do you mean? I can do it too. So this picture is CGI? This is actually real. You can go down and look at it. You can't do it too. The difference is, when we're saying things are CGI, let's go look at planets. Okay, Joker, you think you're funny. Let's go look at planets like, okay, let's see here. Let's find a real picture of a planet. Okay, let's find a real picture of a planet. Oh, these look real. Yep, this is definitely not CGI here. Yep, these are real. Why would anybody question this? It's completely legit. The pictures of the ice wall, they looked equally as CGI as these. Let's find a real picture. There's a real picture of the Earth? Is that what you think? You live here? Jeff C. thinks he lives here. Great. I mean, look how fake this thing is. Give me a break. I mean, the sun actually shrinks away. And what's this? Is this real? Is this real? This is what you think? This is what planets look like? Which picture of here is real? This one? Is this a real Earth? Is this a real planet? This is Planet X. Is this real? How about this one? Red Giant. Is this real? This one's real. No. Maybe it's CGI. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to the ice wall and see if we can see the same thing. So, ice wall. Antarctica. And let's see if this commenter is making any sense. Alright, so let's see. Do these look like CGI? Let me see. Well, certainly looks real to me. Let me see here. Wow, looks damn real. Let's look at this one. Looks real. Let's see. How about this one? Looks real. Let's see here. Let's go to this one. Looks real. I don't know if it's really the same thing here. Oops, what did I click? Let's look at this one. Where did I go? Yeah, there's people getting up here. It's probably CGI. You're right. Let me see this iceberg here. It looks fake, I guess. So I mean, for people to say that, you don't feel ridiculous saying that? I mean, so this is CGI. This is as fake as those planets are, or do you think there's quite a big difference in the fact that there's people in these pictures, and people in these pictures? Where's the pictures of people on planets? That's right, we can't go there. So which one do you think would be easier to fake you on? Do you think faking these ice walls? Do you think that'd be easy to do? They're just faking all this? Or do you think there's a chance that those things are legit and that the pictures of planets are completely fabricated? You tell me. Charles, I'm losing my shit? Okay. Yeah, you're the one who just questioned these things and said they are CGI. These are photos. I don't know what to tell you. And then you said I can do it too. Sure, you can call whatever you want CGI. That's not what we're doing. I mean, look at Earth pictures. I mean, that's hilarious that anybody thinks that they live here. What do you think this is? This is a photo? This is a photo taken in space of your Earth? You're here standing sideways on the Earth? This is all water. Charles, this is water. Water. I'm losing my shit. This is water. Water. Upside down water. Water on the side of the ball. Maybe it's this one's real. I think this other color is real. This is more real. This looks real. Look at the size of the United States. Does that look real to you? How about this one? That's better. That one's real. No, this one's real. Nope, that one's got lines on it. It's not real. This one, not too glowy. This one's real. Yeah, this one must be real. This one looks legit. Let's see where this one's from. What is this? A time-lapse of Earth in 4K resolution as image from the geostationary Elko satellite? Let's see. Show me. Wait, animation? I thought... Oh, okay. They said animation. I was a little worried there. Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, how could you question this? Looks just like those ice wall pictures. Yep, that's real. Earth is spinning, all the stars behind it. It's out in the middle of space, being held up by gravity. Doesn't move, doesn't change its orbit, doesn't shake, doesn't jar off its axis, nothing, just perfectly in space. Yeah, I'm not sure how anybody can question this. Here, let me show you possibly a reason that you should question it, okay? So let's watch the little glare here. Okay, so here's the glare of the sun. Here it comes. Let's watch it. Okay, so the sun's behind us right now. Here it goes this way. Watch this glare. Okay, we're watching it. Here goes the glare. Okay, now it's gone. Now, so it has to be going on the other side, the other side, the other side. Oh, didn't get to see it. What is it doing? Hello? Why is the light going the other way now? Anyway, that doesn't make sense. But what I was trying to show you, we'll go back here. So if you watch this glare, where was it? Come on, glare. Here we go. Here's the sun. It's behind us. It's going over here. You can still see it. It's going over here. There it goes to the other side. So now it's coming here. It'd be about... What? How did it... What did it over here? What happened to the other side? So the glare's here. Here's the glare. Here's the glare. Okay, so now it's on the other side. Let's jump ahead. It's over here. It's coming. Nope. What it happens way quicker. But, you know, believe whatever you want. I don't know what to tell you. You can believe this too if you want. If you think all that stuff's real. The thing is, nothing we say is going to change your mind. You've already made up your mind that you think these are real videos here. From the space station. Yep. This is the Earth where we live. This line here is completely not bent at all. It's completely real. All you need to do is see... Alright. Damn, I wanted to see Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's see. Damn, we didn't even get to see him very long. Shit, sorry. It's up there now if you want to do it. Libya. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is so easily fabricated. But people just don't want to see it. They think because NASA shows you something, they couldn't possibly lie. All right, let's leave on a good note. Oh, yeah, that's a good note there. That's real right there. Let's see. I'm getting tired, but ISS Live. Excuse me. Let's go to the Ustream. And let's go look at our live view of our planet, courtesy of the $52 million in tax money that we give daily to NASA. So we should be getting something pretty good right here. I mean, it's $52 million a day. Imagine if I gave you $1 million a day and said, show me Earth from space. You'd be like, easy. Up, black. Yep, it's black. Okay. So where's the lights? Where's the lightning? We just saw a video. Let's go back here. Let's see. Let's see something from nighttime view. Say night. Oops, there's one. So isn't this a nighttime view? All the lights on? Okay, so let's go look at the live stream. But it's better that you listen to Jeff C. We're all a bunch of shills and we don't know what we're talking about. We're a bunch of idiots pushing Flat Earth, pushing the Flat Earth meme, just meant to discredit true truthers who look into hoax plane crashes. Let's look again. This is nighttime. Well, look at this. This is nighttime. Look at all the lights. Let's look at this one. Oh, that's nice. Look at all the lights. Stars, lights, clouds, lightning. Now let's go look at the live feed. Am I the only one that's seeing a little something here? I don't know. Oh, I'm not showing you. That's what the problem is. We're just seeing black, by the way. So I was showing here. I'll go back and show you again. Lights, lights, lightning, clouds, lights, lights, land, stars. Let's look here. Let's see. Stars, lights. Let's go look at the live feed. What do you see here? Anybody? I can't be the only one that has a problem with this, so let's go look again. Let's look up Earth night photos. N-I-G. Oops. H-T. Let's see. One more time. Okay. That's what is this? Is this real? Is this real? NASA. This one. Earth as seen from space. Lights, stars. Lights, stars. Lights. Lights. Well, this is from underneath the globe. Lights, thunder, lightning, clouds. Let's go back to live feed. Anybody? Anybody at all? This is pretty close to the same thing, right? Let's go back, look again. Let's find some picture. Oh, this is a picture of the ISS, from the ISS. Look at that. Ball Earth, lights. Ball Earth, lights. Ball Earth, lights. Hey, thank you. I'm going to transition that over there. Just because I want to see Neil dance. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So again, we're bringing this back up just because I don't see how anybody doesn't question this. So Jeff C., if you wonder why I think you're a complete and total tool, it's because anybody in their right mind would say, you know what, these things need to be questioned. Not, they're not cutting things in space. There's no cuts in the feed. The sun actually shrinks away. You actually believe this? And then throw a bunch of things in my room and think people should listen to you. You don't have a problem with this being shown. This is NASA Earth Observatory. These are pictures of the Earth. Let's go look at the live stream. Let's go back over here and look what we see here. We've got lights. There's the moon, stars. Let's look at this one. Oh, there's some stars. Look at that. Look at all the stars. Oh, stars, lights. Live stream? Come on, let's see. There's got to be something here. What's this picture? Is this real? Or is this fake? Must be fake. This one? Fake, right? This one? Fake, right? This one? Fake. How about this one? Fake. Okay. What's this one? This one real? Let's go look at the light stream. Nope. Doesn't match. And let's see. This one? That's pretty close. It's about the best one I've seen. Pretty close. He probably took a picture of the sky. Way to go. This one? Again, Jeff C., I'll listen to you when you show me an image taken from this window, or a video, at night. Show me this view at night. Look how close she is to the Earth. Have you ever seen that picture of that goofball, Kelly, in the ISS? What's his name? Scott Kelly, right? Let me show you what a joke picture you believe in. And then you tell me how in the world you classify yourself as a person that should be listened to. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. And you're telling me that at night, when the sun is on the other side of the Earth, you wouldn't be able to see lights here? You wouldn't be able to see lights on the Earth? Live stream? But they've got a 24-hour video camera. Don't you know that? Look at these pictures. Look at this picture right here. Whew, boy. This is a high altitude plane if there ever was. Look at this picture. This picture, you fly this high. You can get in a plane and fly this high. This is an utter joke. 250 miles? 250 miles. The clouds are what? 20,000 feet high? So you're talking about 20,000 feet and then 1.3 million feet to get to the ISS, but we just see the clouds right there. They're right. This is a plane. Oh, can I get over there? Globe exit. Oh, you know what I want to show you? IPS, check this out. I want to see if you like this logo I made. Where can I bring it up here? Let me see here. How do I get this up? Wait 1 second, I'll show you something. How do I bring it up? Let's do this one. We're at browser, window capture. Let me just do a one here. So we're going to go image. I'm going to show you. I found this logo and I kind of changed it a little bit so it would be good for globe exit. And where do I go? Image. Oh, not game capture. Image. And add a new image. Browse. Hopefully it's quick for me to find. Should be right here somewhere. Did it yesterday. Oh, come on. Of course, my computer's not showing me thumbnails right now. Do I recognize which of these? Come on. Give me a second. It's just not showing me the thumbnail, so I don't know which image it is. Come on. Let me try this again because it's not showing me anything. Flat screen, flat screen, flat screen, button. Oh, there it is. There we go. Oh, it looks better on white, but Let me see. Okay. So this one. Oh. Globe exit. It actually looks better on a white background. Let me see if I can put it behind something else here. Where did I put it? Image. Let's put it on top of my browser. So I'll move this over, and we'll put this image on top of the browser. Scene image. Is this the one? There we go. Let's try that. That looks better. I like it. I don't know. I just saw this little logo that had some guy kicking a soccer ball. I said, "Oh man, that's awesome if you put the Earth there." All right, thanks, Peter. Tell her. I don't know, which video would I say to watch? I don't know. Can't really recommend a specific video. Something short. I don't know, the top 5 things you weren't taught in school is pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty funny though. It's just had a soccer ball here and I just changed it. No, that's better if the Earth is there. And then I got rid of his cleats. I don't like that he was wearing cleats. But I think it's funny. So anyway, you want that? You can have it. All right, guys, I am heading out because it's late and I'm tired. And that's the only reason. So, hey, thanks, another subscriber. So be kind to each other, don't lie to each other, and open your mind because there's truth inside. And don't listen to Jeff C. until he shows us astronauts taking images out of the ISS, out of the cupola, at night. But of course, they can do it now. They just never did it before we called them out on it. Imagine that. Can't explain how that would be. Till next time, guys.